Okay, we're unmuted. We're ready to go.
Live?
I think so.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Bethel Board of Education special meeting from January 13th, 2022 to discuss the fiscal year 2023 tax budget to order at 4:01 p.m. Mrs. Hageman, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Mansfield,
I'm here.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Here.
Mr. Elam,
Here.
Mrs. Donahue here. Let the record show that Mrs. France is not with us today.
So moving to our item 2, which is our only item today, the tax budget for fiscal year 2023. I'll turn it over to Mrs. Hageman to discuss and explain and review.
Okay, great. First of all, thank you for giving me a couple more days to sort of dig down and see what was going on. The way I like to explain tax budgets, like I said, I haven't done one in 7 years, but Miami County does an alternate tax budget, which is an abbreviated form, which is good because, anytime we can get some assistance with that, that's great. So we have to pass the 2 resolutions, one which the board passed in December, and then this one is the second resolution that we need to have passed, just indicating that, we've gone through it, we had a public meeting, we've discussed it, and then that you're allowing the alternate tax budget as it is, as prepared by the Chief Fiscal Officer. It's me. So long and short of it is when I was doing the 5-year, you try to figure out as much of it as you possibly can for the 5 years, knowing what you know at the time. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try to expand it because it's sort of, I don't know about anybody else, but I can't see that very well. We didn't have the actual fair funding plan until January 7th, which was this last Friday. It had been delayed from October to December, but thankfully it is now in place for January. It does require some new receipt codes. It does require some adjustments to what we've already received, which I'm working on currently. But I wanted to make sure that it was as close to what we had forecasted and where we would be sitting right now. So it looks pretty good. So I didn't want to have to make too many changes to the tax budget or the 5-year. Now there will be changes in May, but this one is pretty accurate as far as what is going to be on our 5-year. It matches our 5-year pretty well. So as you can see, what we do is we go through every fund that we collect taxes for. First being your general fund, which is your O16 fund and your largest fund that we have. And this is our way of saying to the Miami County Auditor, please, please, please collect our property taxes because we need them to function. We need those for our day-to-day operations. And so we go through and we look at 2021's actuals, what we project for this year in our spending, and what we think our budget and what we project for next year, because this is fiscal year 23 that we're giving them. Okay, so these are my numbers for that. So for general fund, as you can see, we're in the black at the end by $2 million, $2.3 million. And then there's the bond retirement fund. Brennan did a refunding. It's called a refunding. I always tell people refinancing because that's a term most people understand, which really did a great job in reducing the debt payments. It pushes it out till 52, but I think you guys were paying until 51 or 30. Yeah, so wasn't that much of a difference. Yeah, so it wasn't that much added on to the end. So, but you were able to reduce the millage collected, so it was a good thing. But we're looking at in the black, good cash flow for your bond retirement as well. You've got PI on the inside, which is your permanent improvement funds. Inside means inside that statutory 10 mil limit. And so it's not a whole lot. I think it's only two mills. Yeah. So, but we're in the black, all of those areas as well. And PI on the outside, which is the voted permanent improvement, which just passed for an additional 5 years, this last November. So, we're looking at, pretty good numbers there as well. Now, if you notice in fiscal year 23, I've estimated $325,000 in expenditure, and that's to go towards the construction of the K-5 building.
I'm sorry, say that, where is that line again?
And fiscal year 23, where it says total expenditure, there's an additional $325,000
Sorry, I'm in the wrong one.
in PI outside. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That $325,000 is, for the additional funds that are needed for the K-5 building. So that number may change, all these numbers may change, but I want to try and capture as much of it as I possibly can. And then last but not least, you guys have set up a separate fund. When I say you guys, us, the O16 Fund, which is your substitute emergency fund, and those are tax dollars collected. So we had to do a separate detailed statement for those dollars as well. Looking pretty good, still looking at a positive cash flow at the end of every year. Okay. So these are good numbers. Then we do a summary page for them that goes through all of our accounts, which is the general fund, the special revenue funds, which are your athletics, student activities, all of those kind of funds that we put out there to tell them, hey, we think we're in good standing, we're going to have cash balances or break even. So, we're looking good. And then these are your special revenue funds, which are your grants. We're always going to say that you're estimated starting on your 400s and 500s. 400s are your state grants, 500s are your federal grants. We're always going to start the year with 0. Okay, and the goal is to end the year with 0 because we want to spend all our grant money in the year that it's awarded. So that's what we're trying to do. But that's pretty much long and short of it. It is a little more detailed than your 5-year forecast because it includes all those other miscellaneous accounts that are not included in your 5-year. On your 5-year, it's just operating. So it's just going to be your 001 and your 016, which is your general fund and your substitute emergency fund. So it's a requirement that we send this out for Miami County and it's due by the 20th. So that's more talking than I like to do at a board meeting, but that's it in a nutshell. So any questions?
Well, it's more detailed, but it's also for a much shorter period of time.
Correct. Right. It's 1 year of actual this year and then 1 year proposed. Correct. Lori's squinting.
And this includes the Fair School Funding Act dollars.
It does, right.
I'm just a little confused by the beginning fund balance in fiscal year 2023 on the general fund. I expected that to be a little bit higher. Now, maybe it's because we're going to be expensing some of the construction expenses out of there.
Right, that's included in our total expenditures, that 15,483. That includes that $700,000 transfer that's going to go from general fund to the O70 capital projects budget. And it looks different than the 5-year because it's separated from the 001 and the general fund and the substitute emergency. On the 5-year, those numbers are combined.
Okay.
So yeah, so it is a little more than that, but it has to be separated based upon fund.
I was expecting between 3 and 4 million. And
Yeah.
I'm missing some, and I know we can't put PI in that.
Correct. Right.
Okay, so the emergency levy is completely separate. from this.
Right. On the 5-year, it combines those two because those two are used for operating expenses.
That's what I.
On here, it separates the two. Yeah, I kept going, why is this number
Yeah.
not adding up? And I go, oh, yeah, right, we have the O16, so.
Yeah. Like, I'm missing $1 million or $2 million.
No, I
Now,
have the same reaction,
Does
so.
this include all of the TIF dollars? Because I know the auditor accounts for those dollars a little differently, because that could be the other reason. Yeah,
Yes,
the auditor
it's,
does. Okay.
yeah,
All right, that's fine. I just, like I said, that could be the other reason when some of our
Mhm.
money's coming in via the pilot. Okay,
right.
I'll go back and look at the 5-year forecast on this, and if I have questions, I'll.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Next week.
So, actually, I have a group of treasurers that we all talk to, and, we're all going through our new funding formula. And, one of them emailed me all 4 of them, this little chain, they emailed me this morning and they said, hey, am I looking at this right? Bethel's gonna get $1 million every year for the next blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, things look beautiful. I said, beautiful in Bethel, we're looking good. Yeah, it's beautiful at this point, so, yeah, I mean, it's a funding formula, but it's only being phased in. What
Right.
I always tell people, we're only being phased in at 16.67% per year. So if they don't phase it in full in the 6 years, if the legislators start to say, oh, no, we're gonna back off of this and not fully fund it, then we're back into, uncertain territory as we've been in the
By the time
past.
fiscal 2023 is over, this could all be a whole new landscape.
It could
correct?
be a whole new landscape. All we can do is, assume that it's gonna continue to be phased in over 6 years, that 16.67%. And if not, that they freeze us and give us, what we've been getting. So next year, I'm expecting like almost $10 million in state funding. That's what this number here is in other receipts. That is your restricted and your unrestricted. And we're like 329,000 will be restricted, which means you got to spend it on student wellness, English learners, gifted, and what they call disadvantaged pupil impact aid, which was DPIA and then
Sure.
economically disadvantaged, and now it's DPIA again.
We'll have zero problems spending that
We
much
will
money
have,
in either-
we
any
are
of those
already
categories.
spending enough money in those categories that
Beyond,
shouldn't
I'm
be,
sure,
should
right?
not be a problem. So
Refresh our memories on what the DPIA means.
disadvantaged pupil impact aid. That's what they called it back in the day, 15 years ago when I first started, and then they changed it to economically disadvantaged, and now they've brought it back to DPIA. So
Putting the band back together.
yeah, putting the band back together. So, I mean, it looks good for us. And I mean, it really does. It looks good for us. And this is a statutory requirement that we got to get this filed by January 20th. So I'll probably drive it out tomorrow. But look through it. If you have any questions, please, let me know. But, I think we're actually in a pretty good place. I like being able to say that now.
Does anyone else here have other questions or? I mean, thank you for putting this all together. I know it's challenging for us because we are so used to reading a 5-year and now things are in different pockets and different line items and different pages altogether, maybe in the case of like inside versus outside and so on and so forth. So it was interesting to read through and see it in a whole different format. So I know that was very different for you to do it. Like you said, you haven't done these in about 7 years. So being in different districts, having a requirement to do it versus not in different counties and whatever. So appreciate you putting it all together for sure. And yeah, there's still a lot to go through, and just as there was for you, there is for us. So it looks great. I'm excited for the future of the district, just like everyone else is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so our next step then, we have the resolution that goes with it. I do have one question about the resolution, and that is that due to Mrs. Franz not being here, do we need to change the beginning of the resolution where it does list her as the special session on the 13th day was held with the following members present? We'll have to annotate that.
Yeah, I will have to strike
that.
her from that and just note that she was not present for the meeting.
Yeah, so just whatever change is necessary for that.
Right.
And then at the end, it's just, so-and-so made a motion and second motion, whatever.
Right.
And you can do the vote there that she's. So I appreciate you doing that. And then that's the only change I guess we need to make, I suppose, to move. So at this time, is there a motion to approve the resolution related to the alternative tax budget for fiscal year 2023? With the noted change that Mrs. Franz will not be included as part of being in attendance.
I'll move.
Thank you, Mr. Elam. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Donahue. When you are ready, Mrs. Hageman, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Mansfield,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes.
Mr. Elam,
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue.
Yes.
Motion carries, resolution is approved. This is a special meeting. That is all the business before this board. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I will move.
Thank you, Mrs. Sebastian. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Elam, thank you very much for the second. Meeting is adjourned at 4:16 PM. Thank you, everyone, for your time and attendance.
Wow.
Stop